Alright, so here's a nice battle I had against Dmon from a while back, and you may recognize the team I'm using as Night Sky's Edge, which was a team I posted in the RMT forum a while back. So anyway, we're going to start off the battle. He leads off with a Gliscor, and I go with my Skarmory. Now, I'm expecting a taunt, so I go to Flygon. I do have a Gengar, which is a great Gliscor switch-in, but since he might use taunt, I didn't want to get my ability to use Substitute shut down, so I was planning to U-turn out and go to Gengar, but he sets up Stealth Rock instead. So, well, so much for that plan. Anyway, he goes into a Gyarados to take the U-turn. That's really good for him because it gets the Intimidate drop on me, so he takes barely any damage. I go to Jirachi because I have a Thunderbolt, and he hasn't gotten a Dragon Dance in yet, so I should be able to outspeed him and KO him. But just in case he's expecting that Thunderbolt, I'm actually not going to use it. Instead, I'm going to use Psychic, and that really pays off here because he's going to switch into a Jolteon expecting that Thunderbolt, and instead of an Electric-type move, he gets hit by that Psychic for pretty hard damage. So now I go into my specially defensive Heatran because he's already seen my Flygon, so I was expecting that he might use Hidden Power Ice, and even if he didn't, if he used Thunderbolt, Heatran can take that because he's that bulky. So I go for a Lava Plume. He switched to Gliscor because I guess he was expecting an Earth Power, but yeah, that doesn't turn out so well for him. And he actually gets burned. Now, that was a kind of hacksy turn, but it wasn't that bad because Lava Plume has a 30% burn rate, so that's relatively high in Pokemon. So yeah, I'm expecting an Earthquake, so I go to Gengar, but instead he uses Knockoff. That's a pretty unusual move on Gliscor. I mean, it's not unheard of, but it's still kind of annoying. So yeah, I do lose my Life Orb. Gengar isn't completely crippled, but I am going to lose a lot of damage output after this. So I still get up a Substitute because with that burn and the fact that Knockoff is really weak, despite the fact that it's super effective, I'm still going to be able to make a sub and not have it broken by Knockoff, so that's pretty nice. At this point, I'm going to outspeed him and take him out with Shadow Ball, so I do have Gengar with a sub up, which is pretty good, although I don't have Life Orb, so that's going to decrease my power significantly. Anyway, he goes into a Tyranitar now. Not really sure what kind of Tyranitar it is, but I'm going to just go for the Focus Blast, which misses. And he Dragon Dances. That's not really that smart of a move, though, because I could just Focus Blast from behind the sub, even if he outspeeds me, so it's not really a problem. He goes for a Fire Punch, and I Focus Blast one more time. Thankfully, it's not going to miss this time. I think it only has a 49% chance to miss twice in a row, something like that. I've calculated it out before. So yeah, I go for the Focus Blast, and that should KO his Tyranitar, except it has a Focus Sash for some reason. So, okay, I'm going to have to switch out Gengar unless I want it to die. So since he uses Fire Punch, I'm expecting that he's going to repeat his move, so I go to Flygon to take it, because it's a non-stab Fire Punch. Even after a Dragon Dance boost, it's not going to do that much damage. So I go to Flygon, and he takes that Fire Punch pretty nicely, even though he is kind of a frail Pokemon, and I just U-turn out to break his Sash. Well, not break his Sash, to finish him off with the Sash, and go into Jirachi. I think the only reason I'm going to Jirachi is because I usually go to Flygon after switch-ins, but I just U-turned out with Flygon, and he's kind of having some problems with Jirachi apparently anyway. So yeah, he goes into a Hitmontop, and I do have Psychic, so I was just going to stay in and finish him off, but he fakes out, and I see a Life Orb recoil, so that tells me that it's going to be that Technitop, the one with all the priority moves that's supposed to outspeed and KO everything. But this looks like a good time to set up some entry hazards with Skarmory, because I haven't been able to so far in the game. So yeah, he goes for the Mach Punch, but since Skarmory is really physically bulky, I don't have to worry about taking that much damage. So yeah, I take that Mach Punch pretty well. I guess he was expecting that I would start setting up entry hazards, so I go for a Stealth Rock here. He switches out to Jolteon. Now, I know that it's a pretty big threat to Skarmory, but since he's already seen that I have lots of good Jolteon switch-ins, I'm actually going to stay in here and set up a round of spikes. So he uses Yawn instead. I'm thinking it could be that Yawn plus Protect set from Smogon. It's a newish set, but pretty good. So yeah, it pays off. I get a extra layer of spikes, and he obviously wasn't expecting me to stay in, I guess. So I got a Flygon now, And I really thought he would Thunderbolt that time, but instead he goes for a Shadow Ball, which I guess was a nice play on his part. So yeah, Flygon survives that with just a bit of health left. He's in the red zone, so I'm going to U-turn out. He protects just to stall me out and see what attack I'm going to use, but it really hurts him more than it helps him because he's in the Sandstorm, so it's really just him hurting himself because Flygon's immune to Sandstorm. Yeah, so I go for a U-turn. His second protect fails, of course. So I go back into Jirachi just because he seems to be pretty weak to Jirachi, and I really have nothing else I want to switch in. So I'm not really sure what he has left, but overall I think I'm doing pretty well in this match. So he goes into a Gengar now, and I know I'm bulky enough because I have max HP EVs. I'm a Wish CM set, and I was going to stand in Psychic, but he uses Hypnosis, which is kind of unexpected. It has a 60% accuracy rate, but it still manages to hit me, so that's a little bit annoying. I mean, Gengar is kind of problematic to deal with, but I can still play around it with this team. It's not like the end of the world or anything. So I go to Skarmory to take the Shadow Ball, and this is actually a specially defensive Skarm, so I know I can take any of Gengar's attacks pretty well. Maybe even a Focus Blast if I didn't get that special defense drop. So I was going to try to Whirlwind him out, and I was thinking about what to do, but then he uses Hypnosis again, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. You just broke Sleep Claws. Not cool, bro. Not cool at all. I think I tried to send him a message actually telling him that he broke Sleep Claws, but he just kept ignoring me. So I just went back to the DS and tried to figure out a way out of this. I just decided to keep Skarmory in as death fodder because Gengar is a pretty big threat, especially with that Life Orb. It could pretty much 2-hit KO its way through my entire team. So yeah, I don't want to lose any more momentum, so I just decided to leave Skarmory in to die so I can regain some of my offensive momentum. And he uses Dream Eater for some reason, which is a pretty bad move on Gengar, but it's still working for me, working for him, because he, after all, broke Sleep Claws. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with Gengar. Then I realize that I have a Kingdra, and I know what's coming next, so instead of attacking, I just go for a Dragon Dance here. And he tries for another Hypnosis. It hits for the third time in a row, but Kingdra's not feeling that sleepy. That's because it has a Chesto Berry. So yeah, I get that Dragon Dance as he uses Hypnosis. And now I'm in a pretty good position because I'm at +1 attack and +1 speed, and I'm going to outspeed his Gengar and KO it. So that's going to be a nice little revenge kill. I really don't know why he wasn't aware of Sleep Claws, unless he was actually cheating on purpose. So yeah, Kingdra doesn't have leftovers, but it should still survive to do some good damage. Now he sends in a Hitmontop again, and I know that it's that Technotop, so it's going to go for a Fake Out Mach Punch combo. And since I'm aware of that, I go into Gengar here just to take that Fake Out because it's immune. And I kind of neglected to remember that he had Bullet Punch, but it didn't really matter because Gengar's at pretty low health, so I don't exactly mind if it dies anyway. It's not really that necessary at this point of the match, so I'm not too worried about it. Anyway, he takes more Sandstorm and Life Orb Recoil. That's really slowing him down. And I send in Kingdra because I don't want to go back to Flygon. It's at really low health. And it's going to be a pretty close battle. We're 2 for 2, and both of my remaining Pokemon are in really low health by now. So I finish him off with Waterfall because there's no point in Dragon Dancing. He just would have finished me off with a priority move next turn anyway. And he goes into a Gyarados. I do have a Scarf Flygon to finish him off, but if he gets 2 Dragon Dances, he's going to win the match. So there's no way I can let him do that. So I was expecting him to Dragon Dance once, and I just decided to Dragon Dance along with him. And the reason I did this is because seeing me also Dragon Dance would put him under some pressure and most likely make him want to attack me and finish me off since I'm at such low health. So that's my plan here. I Dragon Dance as he also does to get the stat boost, and then I use Outrage because I'm pretty sure that he's going to want to attack me now because he's feeling pressured. So it turns out that I turn out to be right here, and he does finish me off with Waterfall. Pretty safe option, so that was a good move. And now, since he only has 1 Dragon Dance, I get to finish him off safely with Scarf Flygon. Now, I do have Thunder Punch, I think, just for revenge killing Gyarados. And I'm just going to choose Outrage because it's a lot cooler of a move. And I feel like it'd be a really good finishing move. So, good game, although definitely read up on a little something called Sleep Claws next time.